Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Let's Play The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It's been a while since I've done a single episode of this series. Some of you might be new to the channel. You may not remember this at all. And if you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can get caught up with the first 3 episodes. But essentially, I started this Let's Play a while back while Dalton was on vacation in Florida with his family. I needed something to upload for the week or 2 that he was down there, and I decided to play a little bit of The Elder Scrolls. I went with Oblivion at the time. I don't remember why I went with Oblivion. I honestly prefer both Morrowind for its gorgeous art design and in-depth world building, wonderful atmosphere, and absolutely amazing sense of exploration, and Skyrim for having the best combat in the series, because the weapons in Skyrim, unlike every game before it, actually feel like they have a sense of weight and a sense of impact to them. Like, you feel like you're doing real damage to the enemies when you swing them. And I don't get that feeling from any of the previous games. Like, the combat was always the weakest part of this series. It's still pretty simplistic and not particularly great in Skyrim, but it's better. Anyway, yeah, I did 3 episodes of this, and I will put a link in the description below for you guys if you want to catch up on that. I also, I'll put a link at the end of the video during the end card. I also, did 3 episodes of Far Cry 4, which was played on and recorded from the Xbox One X, and that was actually, I was surprised how much fun I was having when I was playing through Far Cry 4. Like, I figured I would kind of burn out on the series, so I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I used to or something, but I went back to it and I immediately hopped right back in and started having a good time with 4. It's pretty fucking fun. I was really enjoying it. And I'll probably eventually do more 4, but here I wanted to record more Oblivion. Because, as you might have figured out already, Dalton is currently in Florida visiting. He's going to, like, Universal and Disney both for 4 or 5 days. And I decided I didn't want to leave my, my channel dormant for a while. So Here I was trying to remember all the different controls because it's been a while since I played this. Can you tell? I decided I didn't want to leave my channel dormant for a while, so I decided to play some games for you guys and just do solo commentary on it. That's what this is. There will be 3 episodes of this because I recorded about an hour and a half's worth of footage of this game for you guys to check out. So there'll be it'll put it up to 6 episodes in total, and this is the base game with the DLCs and stuff installed, the Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isle and all the DLCs that come with the 10-year, the 5-year anniversary edition or whatever. The Game of the Year edition came with all the DLC. It's that, with all of that installed, and no mods at all to make it look better. This is just the base game running on the highest possible graphical setting, which, if you can't do that, your computer's a piece of shit by this point. But mine, it does it just fine, relatively speaking, because I have the occasional frame rate issue, which I think is the game itself or fraps, not sure which, because I shouldn't. I mean, I got a 1660 Ti video card. Games this old don't even pose half of a challenge to a card like that. But it crashed on me 3 times, and I'll try my best to remember to point out when it does, but it should be pretty obvious when it crashes. But yeah, it crashed on me a few times. And I had to start recording again and I had to go back to the last time I saved and start recording again more than once, and it was frustrating. And if it's going to keep doing that, I might have to just do the Xbox 360 version and see if I have any better luck with that. And I've got the Xbox 360 version with all the DLC. I've got have it for the Xbox One X, and it runs and looks really, really good on the Xbox One X. It's probably still not quite as good as the PC version, but what can you do? If it's going to crash on me, I may not have a choice. I don't want to go play the console version. Not that the console version is bad. It's actually a pretty fucking good port. It's like, skip out on the PlayStation 3 version. It doesn't look as good, and it doesn't run as well. And Bethesda games for that generation of consoles had this deal with it. It was less of a big deal for this and Fallout 3 than it was for New Vegas and Skyrim, but it had this deal where your save game would balloon up to a certain size. I think it was 10 megabyte, and the game would just fucking become unplayable at that point, and it was very, very frustrating to deal with for Bethesda fans playing games on the PlayStation 3. I know, because I only had a PlayStation 3, didn't have a gaming PC, didn't have an Xbox 360. I only had a PlayStation 3 when Skyrim came out. I have since gotten those consoles again, and obviously I have a gaming PC because we're playing on that. But yeah, I suffered through that version of both Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas because that's all I had at the time. And every once in a while the graphics would glitch out and it would look like a checkerboard kind of thing. And the frame rate, it would just stutter really, really, really bad and become fucking unplayable. And you would your only thing would be go to a previous save and hope and try to go somewhere else on the map in hopes that it wouldn't happen again. And I did that multiple times on both games. So if you play a console version, play the Xbox 360 version. Now, if you want to play the PS4 version of Skyrim, it's just fine. It doesn't have that problem. I don't know what it is about the PlayStation 3 version, but the PlayStation 3 version of Bethesda games sucked. Which is unfortunate, as the PlayStation 3 was a great console, fully capable of playing these games well enough. Anyway, I'm playing as an Argonian. You probably already noticed that I'm doing an Argonian warrior. And all we did last time was we went through the tutorial dungeon and exited that and crossed the little lake that is directly in front of you when you exit the tutorial dungeon and found this dungeon where I started to explore. And that's all I've done. And I explored most of that in those 3 episodes. And then I started getting my butt kicked by a fairly large group of enemies. I killed most of them and backed out of the dungeon, saved, and stopped there. And this is me going back through and trying to get my bearings and exploring this dungeon because, again, it's been a while since those episodes, so I don't 100% remember exactly what we're doing. So most of the early part of this is just me wandering around this dungeon trying to figure out where I was going, what I was trying to do, and things like that. I hope you guys enjoy these episodes that are just me. Like I said, I have said in the past, I think these videos are better when Dalton is here. I think it's better when I have someone to talk to and play off of, and preferably someone to play with, which is why we do so many co-op games. Not always co-op games, but so many co-op games. But when he's on vacation with family, I don't want to leave the channel just completely dormant for those couple of weeks, or that week or two that he's gone. So I decided that I would do a few solo Let's Plays, and it's something that I only do when he is on vacation, so this isn't going to be a consistent thing. This is on again, off again. I play it a little bit and then stop and then come back to it when he's on vacation again, that kind of thing. So these 3 episodes, that's what you get for a while. And then when he comes back, we'll get back to doing... Is this where I try to pick... Yeah, this is where I try to pick these locks so many damn times, and I got 3 of the 4. I got 3 of the 4, and then I ran out of lock picks. So I remember just being very frustrated with this lock picking mini game, and I like the one in like Fallout better than this. I think it's a better lock picking mini game. It still can be kind of frustrating, especially when it takes like just slight tweaks, very slight movements to try to get it done. But I'm better at that than I am at this. There, I just went auto attempt until it worked. Only to find out that there's nothing in here. Fuck you, game. But I do eventually get 3 of these done. So I went to see Spider-Man Far From Home at the Dollar Theater, and I hadn't seen it yet, so... obviously, you guys know I've been saving money to finish upgrading my computer, so I haven't been spending it on things like movies. So there are certain movies that I definitely want to see in the theater. Like, I will go see... I won't wait for the Dollar Theater to see Star Wars. Things like that. I won't wait for and I'm not going to wait for the Dollar Theater to see Joker. I'm going to go see Joker here in a couple days. But this one I decided I'd just wait for the theater. Yeah, see, this is just annoying. This is frustrating. Just breaking over and over and over again. Oh, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. I'm going to go see Joker in a couple of days. I haven't seen that yet. But... I went to see Spider-Man Far From Home, and Kevin Feige, I think, said that this was the end of the Marvel phase that was all about Thanos. It certainly doesn't. It certainly doesn't feel like it. This feels like setting up the next one in a lot of ways. It doesn't feel like an end to the previous story. Endgame felt like that. This really doesn't. So I'm not entirely sure why he said that. Maybe he was afraid if it wasn't the end of it, like people wouldn't come out to see it or something. Like, dude, it's Spider-Man. You're coming off a massively successful movie. People are going to come see it. And it is a good film. I like it. There's a lot of things going in its favor. It's got a really cool cameo right toward the end of it. Is this where I get it? Nope. Is this where I get it? And I gained another... There we go. And I don't get the last one. I run out of lockpicks trying to get it. It's got a really cool cameo at the end that if you're a fan of the... I'm not going to spoil what it is, but if you're a fan of the Sam Raimi films, and you should be, at least the first two, because they're good. Especially Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. That's my personal favorite Spider-Man movie. And that hasn't changed after seeing this, by the way. If you like that, you're going to love this cameo during the mid-credits scene. But Jake Gyllenhaal is very good as Mysterio. And if you know the character of Mysterio, then you'll see the movie's big twist coming from like a mile away. It's not going to surprise anybody that is familiar with the comics or the character of Mysterio from any of the previous like cartoon shows or anything like that. You know what's coming. For those of you who don't know anything about Mysterio, I'm not going to spoil what that is, but there is a predictable twist here if you know the character. Here I just got frustrated and started hacking at it because it took all my fucking lockpicks. But he is good as Mysterio. And getting Mysterio on screen in a way that is believable enough and doesn't seem goofy and make him look stupid had to be a major challenge. Like, they probably had to go through a lot of test screening just to make sure they got his look right. Because, I mean, Mysterio in the comics works fine for what he is, but can we just admit that that if you look at it, he fits in with the comic book world because you expect goofy looking things like this in a comic book world, but taken on its own, it looks stupid. Because he's got like this giant fishbowl head, and getting that right so you don't look really dumb can't be the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, Mysterio was a really good character in this film. I liked it a lot, and this has some really cool action scenes that are a lot of fun as well. If you're an action fan, if you're a fan of the Marvel action, you're really gonna get your money's worth of this one. Tom Holland is, of course, still very good as the title character. I still don't like him as much as Tobey Maguire. This is where I got to that I had to back up. This is as deep into the dungeon as I got that I had to back up, if I remember right. But Tom Holland is very good as Spider-Man. Like I said, I don't like him as much as Tobey Maguire. I really like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. He's great in the role, but I would love to... Sony, come on. Let Sam Raimi come back and do Spidey 4. Please. We'll all love you for it. That was also going to have Mysterio in it as well. He wasn't going to be the main villain. The Vulture was. But that was going to have Mysterio in it. Make it like a cameo or whatever. Like, the deal that he was going to do with Spider-Man 4 was Spider-Man has been at this for a while, so it's become something of a routine. He defeats criminals, rounds them up, brings them in to the police, kind of thing. And that's how that was. And Mysterio was going to be one of those villains. It's just cool. I would have loved to have seen that, but it didn't happen. They interfered too much with Spider-Man 3, and it wasn't as good as it should have been. Like, if it had just been focused on the end of Harry's story and the Sandman, it would have been fine. you didn't need to push Venom into it. And Sam Raimi has openly admitted that Venom is a character that he really doesn't understand. So he didn't feel like he could do him justice, and he told him that was why he didn't want to do Venom. But the studio said, well, this isn't going to sell if you're not going to do Venom. And it was going to sell anyway because Spider-Man 1 and 2 were massive hits, so they were wrong on that. They should have just let Sam Raimi alone and let him do his thing, but you know how studio interference is. Anyway, back to Spider-Man Homecoming. Not Homecoming. Far From Home. It starts off slow. First, let me say, this does not have any cringy lines that just completely take me out of... That just completely take me out of the movie like Homecoming did. There was one specific line in it that I just like, oh my God, shut up. Stop talking. You're being annoying, obnoxious. It really just took me right out of the film. And this didn't have anything quite like that. But it does have its own problems because the pacing is not very good at the beginning of the film. It starts off pretty slow. And it just kind of crawls basically until they get to Europe. And the water monster that is in the... trailers for the film shows up, so I'm not spoiling anything by telling you that he shows up in Europe. Like, you already know that. If you've seen the trailers, you know he shows up in Europe. That is really when the film starts picking up steam, and it just kind of gets better and better and better as it gets into it. From there, with a lot of fun action scenes and what's his... God damn it. Nick Fury being Nick Fury, which is always fun. Like, Nick Fury is far and away the best part of Captain Marvel. Even if some of the things he says don't gel at all with the things we learned about his character from previous films. Like, they kind of messed up the lore with that one. Which is another reason why a lot of people really don't like... There's a lot of reasons why people really don't care for Captain Marvel. And it's definitely not one of the better films. It's not just, the whole feminist thing. There's more to it than that, why it's not a particularly great film. But this one... It's got some good humor, but it also has some humor that is that really doesn't land. It's got some humor that relies on like internet memes. And when you're going to put humor in your movie that relies on internet memes, it will be dated very quickly if it's not dated the day it gets released. Because the internet moves through those so freaking fast. From one to the next, to the next, to the next. It's not common for a meme to stay relevant for years and years and years. Like Pepe the Frog or something. That kind of meme that has major staying power is rare. Like, we've all probably forgotten how many memes we've laughed at this point. You know what I mean? But, yeah, it definitely has a problem where it relies on that humor a little bit, especially toward the beginning. There's one specific segment right at the beginning of the film that has a fairly well-known internet meme in it that it's like, oh my god, why are you doing this? I thought you were above this kind of lame referential humor. Shouldn't you be? Like, this is going to be dated the moment that you put it out there. Even if it isn't, it will be dated shortly after that, because that's just the nature of it. Don't do this. You know what I mean? I don't understand it. I don't understand why it was in there. It shouldn't have been. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it. I wasn't wearing a helmet. I need to fix that. Move to carefully avoid the traps. Boy, this... But a lot of the other humor does land. There's a lot of fun. There's nothing like deep belly laugh kind of thing, but there's funny moments in it. This isn't Thor Ragnarok levels of funny, where it's just Thor Ragnarok is really, really fucking funny. This isn't quite like that. This it's also got a bigger focus. It's also got the bigger focus on the action and the characters more so than the comedy, which works for a superhero movie. It works pretty well. But beyond that, it has a few problems with the storytelling, and it's stuff that you might not think about at first, and then you think about it later, and you're like, "Wait a minute." You know what you know what I mean? I almost died here. To this necromancer. There we go. But overall, it's a pretty good film. If you like the first one, you're going to like this. And I don't know if I like this one as much as I like the first one, because mostly because of the Vulture was such a good character in the first one. Not that Mysterio was bad at this one. He's pretty darn good as a new character to throw in. But I really like the Vulture, and I'm not sure if Mysterio is quite up to his level in this. But if it's not as good as the first one, it's not enough of a difference between this one and that one to wind up feeling like a disappointment. This is a good follow-up to it. And I am glad that Disney caved and decided to come back with much, much lighter and much, much more fair demands with Sony to keep, or request, I should say, from Sony to keep Spider-Man in the MCU. I'm glad that happened so we can get another Spider-Man movie, and hopefully that one's good too. Part of me is also kind of burnt out on the whole superhero thing at this point. Like, there have been so many of them, and it's been a big deal for over a decade, and then we got the big finish to the storyline and everything. So part of me feels like, okay, it's about time to check out of the superhero thing. Let's see what else Hollywood has that might be worth a damn. And if ticket sales for things that aren't superhero movies are any indication, that the answer might be not much, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I still want to see Rambo at some point as well. I haven't seen Rambo Last Blood yet, but I'd really like to see that. But I doubt I'm going to see that till the Dollar Theater, because again, saving money to finish upgrading my PC, and thus far I'm really happy with my upgrades to my PC. The new case is awesome. The new video card is fucking awesome. I absolutely love it. It runs every single game that I throw at it extremely well, and they all look gorgeous and run great, and I'm loving it. It's such a massive upgrade over my previous one, and every single game I run at it, I can run at much higher frame rates with much more stably, with higher graphic settings and everything. It just runs so much better. And I'm loving it.